So today we're going to take a look at webpart settings and how to save preferences to JSON using the wp-settings library. Here we're looking at a Hello World webpart with a simple text display and a save button. Not a whole lot to it, pretty straightforward interface. Back over here we'll check the code for all of that. Here we have the markup with really two main functions, an initialize and a save. The initialize will put a value in the text field, kind of, the web part waking up. And it does that by first wpsRead, webpart settings read. So it's going to go get the settings and then invoke the initializer. And here we have a save method that kind of shows the ID number that it was successfully saved. And that we're invoking with wpsWrite, which kind of tells us a CSS selector of where we are on the page to determine the webpart container, and then also the value of the settings to save. Here we're sending over a JSON object from a text string. And then finally the saved event handler. So really two main ways to interface with the library, wpsWrite and wpsRead. The read is going to kick in when the page loads up and then invoke the initialize. And the write will happen based on user behavior and put values out there so the next time we initialize, the page will have data to work with. So let's kind of check it out. Right here, we'll open up F12 for the console. We'll reload the page, and what we see is the word null on the console. Checking the settings list, there's nothing out there for settings currently. Okay, let's give it a JSON object, and here we'll have the value of test111. We'll go ahead and save that. It's saved it as ID number 7. Checking over here, we see an item added to our list. We've got the URL, the web part identifier, and in fact it is row 7 inside of the list, and then there's our value. So if we now navigate out of the page, come back into it, when it initializes, it puts down that setting. And just to kind of go full circle and prove that out, we can update the value in the settings list kind of manually, just for testing. And we'll come over here and we'll initialize the page again. Hey, there it is, reading the settings value. And if we wanted to change that and do save, it will do an update. So it's interesting. The save button is both update and insert. Sometimes you'll hear that referred to as upsert, where it actually handles both, where it's update if we find it and insert if we don't find it. So here we, come into a page brand new. There's nothing really here. Put down a little test value. That's saved as ID number 8. Because I deleted the other test row to make a brand new one. So we're reading during initialize, we're saving the values back to a list, all great stuff. Now, what if we don't have the list? First time using the web part on the site, nothing else going on back there. It's kind of all a new ball game. So in that case, let's put down Hello World. In that case, the save button will provision a list, very cool. Go over here to settings, add 2 fields to the list, also nice, and then finally insert an item. That's really slick. So it's self-provisioning, where it will create the list, create the added fields, and then also add an item to the list. So now the next time we come to the page, it's got the settings saved. So great use case where we're doing a simple initialize the web part and a save button. That's something that could fit into pretty much any downstream web part we'd need to do. And I'll just change that up and hit save. And over here it's doing an update. So again, with that whole update versus insert, it'll gracefully handle both. If for whatever reason the list is emptied out, there aren't values there, hey, that's fine. We can still come back in here and put things down. And the next time a save runs, it'll insert a brand new record or update one that's already out there. And we'll modify the default view just to show a little more of how that's happening with the filters matching up. Yeah, here you go, page URL and title. So that's how it's matching with the filters right there. So that's a tour of WP setting. From a usage perspective, using a Hello World web part with a single text field and a write button that will save, a read event that initializes, and it's all very concise, kind of short, abbreviated code. Of course, we make a reference to WP settings up top to kind of bring in the library. And then over here we have all of our AJAX calls. How do we do a post to ensure a list is there? How do we post to ensure a field exists? How do we write an item to a list? This has the CSS selector to determine what web part we're currently inside of. And then the read event, which does the data parsing and callbacks. And all this is asynchronous, AJAX with callback, so it's not going to be locking, and it sequences all the steps correctly. It's interesting. The first time you're on the site and using something like this, and let's say the list was not here, we'll just remove it for fun and kind of show that self-provisioning yet again. There it is, creating the list. Yeah, creating the fields. I mean, it's doing a lot of different steps. And if we come over here to network, clear things out, and we can actually watch what happens when we click that save button, it invoked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different requests. It first got a form digest value for security. Second, created the list. Third, made a field. Fourth, made another field. Fifth, tried to find the item, sort of filtering to see if it's out there. Of course, it did not. And then it makes the decision to insert. Should it do the find and it was out there, it would do an update. So this last line is an insert because the preceding line did not match. But that's some pretty good stuff where you're nesting 6 levels deep. And from a usability perspective, I mean, all we really had to do was put in a little JSON sample and hit the save button. And then have that come over here and post back to our list. So thanks for watching.